How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
You open the Walmart app and boom! The Reebok and Hanes styles that keep your kiddos on their A game delivered in as fast as an hour. That's right, those comfy Hanes Performance Crew socks they love in the app. And the coolest shirts, shorts, hoodies, and leggings from Reebok? Yep, Walmart's got them. They'll feel so focused in their new gear, they won't even notice you freaking out on the sidelines. Shop Reebok and Hanes in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new. Subject to availability, fees, and restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Everyone who works at Starbucks, full or part-time, gets stock in our company. Which means that when Starbucks succeeds, our people do too. At Starbucks, benefits like company stock are just the start.
Hello and welcome to episode 260 of the Washed Up Emo podcast. I am Tom Mullen from washedupemo.com. Today in the podcast, we welcome John Galm from Snowing. He has a new record himself called River of Blood. You should check it out. It's on Count Your Lucky Stars. It is amazing. And John and I talk a lot. We talk about, is this band emo? We talk about his Dunkin' order because he's walking over there. We talk about emo bands and his connection to emo with Snowing. We talk about his new record, River of Blood. We also talk about sort of the creative feeling of being okay with what you produce and where that lives in the history and timeline. Talk about collecting records. We talk about Best Friends Forever, and we nerd out toward the end, which I think you're going to love. We also predict what year 3 of Best Friends Forever might be. I really think you're going to have a really rad time. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. We've been off for a few months. We are back. I have a new job. I have a new life. I have a new career. So a lot has happened, but we are back on track with the podcast. Thank you for the support. John Galm is amazing. I think it's a great one to have. We get back in. We've got a lot of stuff coming up leading into Best Friends Forever. And also we have a lot more episodes that will be coming. So we are on our way. So thank you for the support. Thank you to Count Your Lucky Stars and John for being rad. And so here it is, episode 260 of the Washed Up Emo podcast with John Galm from Snowing.
Hello?
Hi, John. It's Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for doing this. How was work?
Oh, it was work.
What is work?
Work is, what do I do? I'm a payroll administrator at a college around here.
That's fun.
So, yeah, it's honestly, it's totally fine. You know, at the end of the day, it's just fine.
They're flexible. You get feedback on your performance, right?
Yeah, but mostly for me, it's just like I can just sort of zone out and do, some like pretty like planned tasks and just sort of listen to music and not really think about things. And then at the end of the day, if like all the numbers match, I'm like,
you're
great.
Done.
I did it.
It's really interesting. Have you had jobs that weren't that, where you had to sort of do interactions, you had to, talk to people and get stuff done? Because I found that early in my career, it was those types of jobs, and I found that very tiring. And then later on, I'm like you, where you tell me what to do, I finish A, B, C, D, I can still be creative, I can still do my own things, but I'm going to complete those tasks. And like you said, at 4:30, I'm done.
Yeah, I definitely have those jobs where, you take them home with you and also just like, jobs where it's like you give so much of yourself to it,
Yes.
in the moments that you get home and you're bushed. It's just like, how am I supposed to do anything now?
Right.
All I want to do is sort of zone out and sleep. And but yeah, no, so stuff like this is just like, it's so much better for me mentally. um and it really helps too, like everyone I work with is very kind, and like it's like a nice good team. Everyone's there. I just came from an office doing similar work where it was a lot of big personalities and a lot of like sort of office politics and a lot of drama, you know
Mm-hmm.
and look out for this person,
Right.
this person, like new spot, none of that. People are just here to do their job and go home. And it's like, this is fantastic.
Because it's like some people work that like that. That's it for them.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I can't. Yeah, I think you're right. I can't imagine, but it
Right.
sure seems that way.
But
And I know some people too. Some people too have like, uh, their work is their life in a way that like they have like big careers, that they're
right.
like very attentive to and proud of and focused on. Um, yeah, it's not me. Like,
But I think knowing that is so important. Like figuring that
yeah,
out. Like, wow, this feels good. I did this. I just think few people do that, or
yeah.
realize it in time.
I mean, it's taken me a while, and honestly, I still struggle with the idea that like when I look at it, there are days where I'm like really happy that I can just like shut down at whatever time I'm shutting down at. But then there are also days where I'm like waking up and thinking like, I don't have a day to look forward to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I have just sort of like, I have this thing that I need to do because I need to pay rent and survive and all those things. But like, it's not like a career that I'm like in love with or like really like celebrating in any way. It's just something I have to do. And some days that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to be not as excited.
Right.
But um I think right now the good outweighs the bad. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, have we started the podcast? I'm so
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have.
Oh,
Heck,
okay.
heck
Hello.
yeah. Come on. I just think it's really interesting because I left the music industry after 23 plus years, changed my career. I'm doing something else and it's completely opposite. And my
Oh wow.
later jobs were this like politics. You got to tell this to this person, and then you got to act this way, and you got to tell this person this thing. And I was like, can I just do the work? Can I just be creative? And I think as you get higher and certain people are able to handle that and like that, I never felt like that. But to your point of some days I'm back and forth on what am I actually doing, I feel like when you get home, you've got a little more energy. You can talk to Tom on the podcast, and you have stuff going on outside of this that you have energy for. And when you talk to people, you're not just talking about work. It's almost like it doesn't matter. You've got so much else going on that I think should be valued more. Like it's kind of like the last analogy I'll give it. It's kind of like when rich people they don't like drive a fancy car or like have to like flash it. It's like the people that like want to do that are like trying too hard. Like I feel like just
Right.
get your shit done. Like it's like, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. Um that does make sense. Uh yeah, and there is, there is something about it where it's just like, I remember too, if we're talking about sort of like doing this, like doing a job and also having like a creative outlet or a creative output.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having certain jobs. Like I used to work a lot in like the mental health fields, which are like, like hugely important. It's very important. People should, it's like an incredibly selfless job, but it's also just like so taxing, doing like one-on-one support for folks that have like intellectual disabilities or anything like that. It's like, it's a lot. you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, there'd be times where it'd be like, okay, I have to work for 40 hours this week, over the course of a couple days. But then come Saturday, I'll have time to finally sit down and record that song I've been working on, or like finish up XYZ, project wise. And then getting to that day and not getting things done because you're tired and worn out, or you're just not feeling particularly creative that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, well, I just wasted my fucking time. Like, and now it just, and then suddenly you feel even worse
Yeah.
because you didn't have, the productive outlet that you were really hoping to have after. That was like you kind of had to schedule because,
Yes.
On the days where you did work, it was like, well, this is miserable and there's no way I'm doing this after work.
Right.
I used to that also, though, like I will say too, pre-pandemic, that would also happen to me at like office jobs. But now that I have sort of like now that a lot of us have like more like flexible schedules with like working from home, like I worked from home today,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really helpful for me. Like I got a lot of stuff done for my job, but also I played guitar and like I like took a little walk around the neighborhood, and
It's crazy what that does, because you forget to do that. And our pre-life of that 5 days a week, you must be here to never leave, 20-minute break, like those types of things. You're totally right. Having that walk or just picking up the guitar, your brain is doing different things in that moment.
Yes, it's and like having those moments when you're at the office, yeah, you get like 20 minutes, but it's like the pre-planned, like the unplanned, sorry, the
Mm-hmm.
unplanned nature of it, where it's like, oh, I can just do this. Like you feel like the inspiration of like, oh, I just hummed a little melody that I like, and oh, look, I can just pick up a guitar. Here it is. I can just like fiddle with it right now. I don't have to like. I used to run to the bathroom when we were 5 days a week in office. I used to like run to the bathroom to like quietly sing into a voice recorder,
Wow.
and then I'd get I remember just like so many times getting home, and most days not even like the same day, but like a couple days go by and I'm like, commuting back to work, and I'm like, let me listen to the things that I was working on or like thought were important. And it's just like nonsense. Like I just like whatever it was that like made me run to the bathroom, it's just the idea vanished from my brain. So even when I listen back to it, I'm like, I don't understand what I was trying to do, but it was so important. It was so
Wow.
important in that moment.
So you've listened to those and went, what the fuck was I thinking?
What the fuck was this? I still do a lot of voice recording. Oh, dropping stuff.
No, you're fine.
I still do a lot of voice notes on my phone, and like right now I'm just scrolling through, and there's probably like there's probably like 100 to 200 in here, and I bet if I listened to most of them, I'd be like, what is this? Like,
because if you don't like, for me as a guitar player, if like I don't play that riff or record it, even if I don't continuously play it, like people have asked me like, oh, can you play the stuff that you wrote in college and on that Emo Diaries comp? I'm like, I don't remember a fucking thing.
I don't remember a fucking thing. Yeah, that happens to me a lot with like, I'll try and like sing guitar parts if I don't have a guitar near me, and then I listen back to it, and it's just me going like, dun 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 dun. It's like that's nothing.
Oh
That
my
is
God,
absolutely
that's
nothing.
amazing. So
It's just like,
you're essentially doing one, right? Isn't it just 0-0 the whole time for like the first 2 minutes?
Jason Newstead. Does he just play like he just plays nothing for, or just like
0-0-0?
open for a while?
Yeah, just like open. Someone did like a bass cover of it with like the tablature scrolling by, and I was fucking dying. It was so good. But like, it's
Well, a lot of that whole like that whole like darkness imprisoning me part, is that just like an open, that's just like dun, 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 easy Metallica bass. I'm just Googling this now. Hang on. We're doing a podcast. This is great. This is great.
This is super important. No, it is, because I think it's like, again, I can always bring it back. Like, you by yourself, whatever that song is, and people are yelling at us being like, don't you know it's the Call of Cthulhu? But if it's like you doing that note or you singing that without a group or without other pieces does sound like, what the fuck was I thinking? But when you get in a room, someone else is hearing something else when you do that.
Yeah. Yes, so I guess you're right. You must be right.
I don't know if I'm right, but
I don't know if you're right either. But I'm also now I'm just on your website. I gotta stop. I do
which
this
one?
to
Which
friends sometimes.
which website is this band emo?
I'm on the. Oh no, I'm just on the washed up website.
Washed up emo.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Wait, is this band? It's a great website.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Have you ever been to isthisbandemo.com?
Snowing is an emo band. That's good to know.
Have you ever been here?
Street Smart Cyclist is an emo band. This is great.
No, tell me. Hold on a minute. You've never been to this website?
Has this been around a while?
Since 2014.
Yeah, then I've definitely been here.
Okay,
for sure, 100%.
Okay, because people find it and they forget, and they're like, "Hey, man, there's this website." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I wrote the jokes."
I wrote the jokes.
All these are in here. I used to say that it was an emo council, and I used to have an email thread with like 10 or 12 people that were writers, bands, and I would send around bands. And then after a while, it got too much, so I would definitely. I have people I text and go, "What do you think? Do you have a good one-liner?" But yeah, it is the most simple website, made by Issa from Good Clean Fun. If you're a fan of straight edge hardcore, yeah, Issa and I put this together in like a weekend.
That's funny. I like that a lot. Are there any? Wait, let's see.
Are there any jokes?
Are there? Oh, Good Clean Fun is an emo band. There you go.
Absolutely. There's like non-emo bands are in there, like pop groups, different members of bands are in there. Yeah, it's really fun.
This is great.
Yeah, it's super fun. Now, do you know why I do it?
No.
One, to make people mad, and two, to realize it's data. So when I look at who searches what, I can tell what people are thinking are emo or what things people are interested in. And then I can figure out what to sort of talk about or what bands to kind of think about. So
that's interesting.
It's kind of like data too, because it's funny to watch. Like, I think for like 2 years straight, like people were putting in 5 Seconds of Summer. Like it was just nonstop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hang on.
What does it say? I don't. Oh no.
Is this band 5 Seconds of Summer? It's not an emo band, and then there's a.
What did I put in?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Ben Affleck looking sad. That's all. It's really good.
Thank you. There's my favorite one is if you mistype Cap'n Jazz. It if you put the accent in the wrong place or if you type it wrong, it gives you shit.
Let's try that. I don't even know. Cap'n Jazz. Spelling is hard.
So anyway, welcome to we're up on, what is that, 11 years of fun? Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it is great that you're on this website with emo. How do you feel being attached to that word? Because I'm interested in how you got to it, but I just want to hear, like, how do you feel about being attached to it? When you sort of, first, were you doing it intentionally? Was it like we just were making music? Because everybody's got a different answer.
I for some reason I was like, this is gonna come up today, and it's gonna come up. Like I was in the shower this morning, and I was like, Okay, I'm going to get asked this today.
Yeah, you are. This is the one website with it in the name that will do it.
It's true. I think while I conduct this interview, I'm going to walk to Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee.
Really? What's your order?
Yeah. Oh, just lately it's just been a cold brew with oat milk.
Damn.
And that's before it was cold brew black, and then I found out they had oat milk, and I'm like, okay.
Are they not? They're not upcharging, right, for the non-milk ones?
No.
Now? Yeah, that's great.
No, they are
that's
not.
solid. That's solid.
It's too expensive to begin with, but I, every now and then I feel like I deserve a nice treat. So, and nice for me is literally Dunkin' Donuts.
Nothing wrong with Dunkies, man. Nothing wrong with Dunkies.
But yeah, I mean,
were you not? Why did you think about it? Like, were you worried, or you just haven't thought about it?
I just hadn't thought about it in a minute, and it's this thing where, oh, you know what? I left my wallet in my car, so I need my car keys. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. It's fine.
It's a whole thing. How long is this interview? No, I feel like it was sort of an accident is what it comes down to. I really love writing music, and I really love songs and writing them. And as long as I can remember, I wanted to play in bands and perform for people. And I also had a pretty not serious, but an undiagnosed depressive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it was just sort of it's like written in the earth that it was like, yeah, of course I'm fucking associated with this shit.
Right.
Because I'm just I think anytime people are a tinge more emotional, it's like, oh, emo guy. It's like, yeah.
So even when the revival era was going on, what were you listening to? Were you listening to second wave? Were you listening to indie rock? Were you what was in rotation?
I mean, I think when the revival was happening, it was this twofold thing for me where I was like, I need to keep up on, people would be constantly like, oh, I saw Snowing, they sound like this band, or oh, I like, or the folks I would play in the bands with would be like, check out this band, or I heard this band. So I'd always be sort of with one ear in that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'd be like, yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. And then, yeah, I don't know. I liked a lot of different stuff. I listen to a lot of, especially if I'm thinking back to the 2010s, late 20, late 20 aughts.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was weird because it was I was trying to stay punk. I wanted to be I wanted to be cooler than I was. I feel like I wanted to be cooler than I was in multiple different realms. So I really wished I was I looked at people who were really into Jeff Rosenstock, on the music industry, and almost the folk punk,
Mm-hmm.
and Planet X stuff, that all sort of got lumped together in my brain. So I was I wished I was more punk so that I could be cool enough to be cool over there. And then at the same time I was really into indie rock stuff, anybody else. I liked LCD Sound System and shit like that. And I was I really wish I was cool in that way. I got really super into really super into garage rock for many, many years, and just dirty, foul sounding
Mm-hmm.
records. I think that was almost like a slap back from all the emo stuff. But And then like I wanted to be cool there. And it's just like, but like none of it really felt, I wasn't cool anywhere. You know, the only place I've ever felt like I could like actually hold a conversation with people, unfortunately for me, are like I go to these emo shows and I'm like, oh yeah, you just talk to these people and it's fine.
Wow. So
Everywhere else, I'm like terrified.
so was the word associated with the band very early on?
Well, I mean, like, I think when I joined Street Smart Cyclists, the initial members were straight up just like obsessed with sort of like um screamo and like record collecting and jade tree stuff circa, you know, that time.
Got
So
it.
like we're talking like post Promise Ring, but like, you know, not before the label completely fell apart kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just straight up like, yeah, we want to make a band that sounds like Cap'n Jazz. Like we want to be an emo band. Like we want to do this thing. And I got asked to sing in it because I was just friends with everybody. At the time I was playing in like a pop punk band that sounded like, you know, the like I hate to say brand new, but you know, the shoe fit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know, but like I did like that stuff. One of my first screen names was Cap'n Jazz 37, or 34. I mean, I don't know why it was 34.
Sometimes they just like auto generated a number, right? If there was
Yeah.
someone
Well,
older.
the one before that was Dashboard 33.
Wow.
So it shows you where I was at.
Was this your instant messenger?
This was Instant Messenger. Yeah.
Mine was X Mirror 42X.
Nice.
You know what that means?
X mirror for no, I have no idea.
It doesn't make any sense, and everyone makes fun of me. But I thought that if you put a mirror in front of 42, it turns into 24. What's the 24th letter of the alphabet? X, motherfucker. So,
Oh my God.
I know, straight edge.
That's pretty cool.
It was one.
I
Of
mean,
it was
that's
one of the
some like
bands.
that's some real like cool kid brain thought, you know, like
Thank you.
like, yeah.
What's so interesting though is why I love talking to the Revival and where you sat and what happened is because in '08, I mean, I was doing some research for a documentary last night and looking at some SNL performances and looking at where the emo bands played on SNL. And it was crazy to watch like '07, '08 because it's like My Chem played, like all these kind. And so I was like, or not My Chem, I think it was Fall Out Boy. I forget who else, but it's like I was looking at all those and I was like, that was such and how I saw it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is that it was great that the rest of the band members were kind of into that Jade Tree stuff because when I started this website in 2007, I thought no one talked about it anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
There was nothing on the internet.
yeah. I think
So
and
you
it's
guys
funny too, 'cause,
found
like,
it.
yeah. Oh, for sure. I forget what the like sort of lineage to it was, but like I just remember like, and I loved Fall Out Boy and I loved My Chem, but I also loved going to that fucking J Tree website that they had, and like you could do like it was really interactive, and you could like, you know, not only listen to songs from bands, but they had like, you know, like almost like family trees. So you could click on like,
Yes. Oh my
so
God, you just unlocked it. Tell everybody about it because I forgot about that.
no, I mean, like, so if you went to Cap'n Jazz, it would be like, oh, Cap'n Jazz members of this band were also in the Promise Ring and Joan of Arc and, you know, whatever else bands that they had on the label. All sort of Jade Tree related things, nothing outside the realm. But it was just like it was just a good way to be like, it just suddenly felt like it was opening this door. Like, wow, not only have I found out about one band, now I'm finding about all these other bands. But there's also something that seemed like old and foreign and like a little more like I knew I could find Fall Out Boy and Jimmy Eat World and, you know, Saves the Day like at the mall. I felt like this was like a bit separated from that, you know? where it's like this is like a bit more underground, and it felt cooler in that way as like a 13-year-old in my parents fucking on our AOL connection.
Right. Did you feel that? Like, that's very vivid because to think
I
about that.
100% felt that, like 100%. Where it was like,
Wow.
it felt like I was sort of discovering like, oh, this is like, because I feel like it's really easy to find. It became really easy to find like certain stuff, and there are people booking shows in my area where like bands like Punchline and Hidden in Plain View and like these other bands that were like either on Fueled by Ramen or going to be on Fueled by Ramen or like on Drive Through Records, like like everyone's like one step removed from the starting line kind of thing, which makes them all one step removed from like Newfound Glory. So it's like that's not that exciting. Suddenly you see like these folks who are playing like weirder music that's like a little more, and it happened like in the 90s, and it might still be happening today, like in the case of like a Joan of Arc who just kept going. But like it just seemed like this like strange new world where it was like things were a little like less shiny then and a little more um earthy and fucked up and like artsy. And I just remember thinking that was so cool.
So did you
Like,
see you saw the popular ones and said
mhm.
there's more? Like there
I
has
mean,
to be more, or was it people telling you like, "Oh, I heard you like this band, you should check out this band."
no, I mean, I just did a lot. Like, yeah, I basically like, I still do this thing with like shit I get into now where it's like, I'll find a band that I really love. And within like 24 to 72 hours, I'm like, okay, but like, who else is there?
Yeah.
And then I start doing like Rolodex style digging through like the internet to like find like other bands that sound like this band or other bands that play with this band or other bands that, and I think just through like, you know, it doesn't take long to get from someone like, you know, I was like a huge Weezer fan. Weezer toured with Dashboard Confessional. From Dashboard, I start, then it's like Further Since Forever, and that like just goes down a layer. And then it's like, it doesn't take that long to get to like weirder, earthier stuff,
Yeah. Yeah, you find out
Um,
that he was in Vacant Andes. What else is going on in Florida?
what
I
else is going on in Florida? And then honestly, Jimmy Eat World is just like, it just, or like Jimmy Eat World for sure. But I mean, yeah, because Jimmy Eat World's like one step removed from Mineral because they did a fucking split together. So
Right.
it's just like, so then it's just like, who the fuck is this? It's just really, exactly. It's just like you're sort of like, I've always been like, let me dive a little deeper. Let me like keep looking. Um, and yeah, you just start finding all these fucking bands.
It's so
And
interesting because I give a lot of shit to the third wave, but I do think it opened the doors for a lot of people, and that if you were away from the marketing, from alternative press, Hot Topic, and you actually dug a little deeper instead of that albums, which I'm happy a lot of people did. But that's what started the website. I was like, oh my God, like, do you guys know that there's bands before this? Because it was just, it's on SNL. It's on
right.
the front page of things. And so this revival era, I've told this story before, but like someone emailing me and saying, Tom, there's a new band, and they sound like Mineral. And that's like you telling me, I don't know, like something like that would never happen. Like I was like, are you joking? Like, how did that happen? Because it was as if it was wiped off the face of, the internet, the earth. And so it's crazy to hear, yeah, I was into those bands, but I dug. And I think that's what I loved about hearing this era of bands, because I
Well,
could
I
tell
also,
they did their homework, but also they were
yeah,
just like, oh, you know what? I actually know this. I have this idea. I have this. And it just felt you were
right.
keeping it weird, as you using that word earlier. You were kind of keeping it weird.
Yeah. I mean, I also thought that was just part of it, like when I would like, and me and like the friends that I had they were all the same way, where it was like, you'd get excited then if it was like, I found this band, and like you had your certain friends that you'd want to tell. But then you also sometimes found bands, and you were like, I don't want to tell anyone about this. Like
Which one?
like. Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I'll come back to you.
Like something from the 90s or something from like the mids.
Just like anywhere, just something you were like,
Got it.
I want to keep this in my pocket because it just feels so like special to only me,
For me, that was like a lot of Deep Elm stuff.
Okay, sure.
Like I would find stuff on the comps and be like, no one, like, and actually one of my bands is on a comp. And so being able to like be a part of that and then connect with those people and be like, man, there's so much cool stuff going on. But there was like almost like too much, like there was like too many bands on those. Like, how are you able to follow up with all of them? Like I was overwhelmed, and it was like, you would look at an address, right? There was no website. There was no phone number. It was like address of some random PO box. Well, I'm never going to talk about them. How am I supposed to share that other than the MP3 that I ripped?
Right. Yeah, no, I remember those comps were very, we me and like some friends went and saw the Get Up Kids in probably like, I actually just recently looked up the show because I was trying to find the set list. It does not exist online, but we saw the Get Up Kids in my home area of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And opening for them was the Appleseed Cast.
Yes.
And it was like peak fucking like, it's when they had the drummer,
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember seeing them, and it was just like a fucking sight to behold, where it was like, I've never heard a band like this, and I've certainly never seen a band like this. Also, they kind of looked like they had like a hipper, almost like kind of like hippie look to themselves.
Totally.
And I was just like, this is the strangest, like coolest thing. And through that, like I had a bunch of friends who like my friend, I had a friend, Kevin, still have a friend, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. He was a drummer. So he got like really into Appleseed Cast. And through that, he was just like, oh, I'm getting these Emo Diaries comps, like Deep Elm stuff. And that was like a bridge too far for me, because it was just like, this comp has like 40 bands on it.
Right. It's like, it was way too much. So when you talked about like holding something back, it's like people are going to stop listening to me because I'm going to keep talking about bands. Yeah.
Yeah. And like he would, every now and then he'd be like, oh, this band I heard him on the comp, and then I bought their CD from Deep Elm. And it's like, I don't know if this band exists in real life. Like,
yeah,
it was almost like two down the rabbit hole. It's like, obviously they exist. They have a fucking CD out.
Right.
But it's like, do they tour? People listen to them? Like, who are they?
Right. Well, that's the thing. That's what I meant about talking about the address, because you're like, who are they? There's nowhere to search. And if you did, it was very basic. And it was just this. I loved that. And I still think it happens today. There's stuff people are still finding out about. People tell me about bands that were connected to bands I had no idea about. So I feel like it's rich, but what's not rich in money, but just rich in content and songs. But also the tendency of, as I said, my first question was like, how do you feel connected to the word? Because sometimes they hear the word, they see the band, and they're going to think, it's going to be thought of less.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I also feel like just the connection with the word has brought me a fair bit of like grief.
How so?
Yep. I don't know. You ever try and like expand out of it?
A lot of conversations about that come up. I've actually talked about that with Chris Caraba. Remember when he did the like foot stomp band?
I
Twin
don't.
Forks. You ever heard Twin Forks?
No, I have not heard Twin Forks.
That was his like stomp band, and I saw them at like a eyeglass store in New York City, and there was not many people, but like it is hard.
When you say foot stomp band, you don't mean like
Mumford and
you mean
Sons.
like a okay.
What did you think I meant? Like oi oi bands?
No. In my head, I was like, I think you mean Mumford and Sons type, but there's a chance that you mean like beat down hardcore or something.
Yes, or you would have misheard me as Frog Stomp, and you would have thought of
Yes.
Silverchair.
I mean, to be fair, I'm often thinking of Silverchair. So
I bought that first record, and I was like,
I
there's
don't think-
got to be another song on this. There has to be. You know, when you bought the CD, your parents got you home, you threw it on, and I was like, fuck, there's no other song on this. I just wasted $16.99.
yeah, it was for me. That was specifically I bought Pablo Honey. And I
No,
heard
you
Creep,
did?
and I was like, man, I love this Creep song. Let's listen to the rest of the record. And I was like, damn, this sucks.
Sponge was another one song.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what band I did
yeah.
that for? You know what band I actually was bummed about when I bought it, and later, and I've told the band members this. Texas is the Reason, full length. I didn't get
God.
it. I didn't get it.
Wow. That's a band that I've never really listened to, but I used to ride as most teens do. I rode BMX, and they definitely had like the one song is definitely on like several BMX videos.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Okay, I got to go into this Dunkin' and order the
No, and you're not gonna. No, you're gonna stay on because I want to hear the order.
Well, I should have did it on my phone. Is really or not like like
No,
the
it's
app.
fine. It's fine.
But
No one's gonna know,
would I-
John. No one's gonna know what we're talking about. It's fine. Are you gonna do? Are you in the pickup parking?
no,
You're in line?
I walked here.
All right.
I'm just in the store.
Do they have any vegan options?
They don't.
For
I mean, unless you get like a coffee with some sort of vegan milk. Option.
Did you know in South America they have vegan Dunkin' Donuts?
I did not.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Can I just get a small cold brew with oat milk, please? No, just plain. Nope, that's it.
It is a miracle that a record comes out. It is a miracle that people agree enough to stay in a room and make music. That's why I am so appreciative of when art gets made and out there, which is that DIY type thing. Be happy if that big band got big. Be happy if that band made one record, but just have your radar up on, if you're able to see the bullshit. Like that was my feeling about it. Like I could just tell if they just weren't like, are you doing this because you want to do it, or is it just because it's the thing to do?
Right. Yeah, and I feel like that's sort of another thing where the longer and more successful like a genre specific sort of thing goes, the more the bullshit like starts to like oh, these bands are doing really well and are really popular, and now there are like a million that sound like them. Yeah, some are just like obviously like we were fans of this band, but I think you get like that. Like I feel like there was that big boom. I used to read alternative press, and there was the big boom after like a certain year where it was just like after Thursday put out like a major label record, and then like the all-time lows of the world started coming into the thing, and it was just like every band was just like, oh, we could just be a bad pop punk band and make a lot of money.
Right. What is so interesting is that's why I'm fascinated that this revival era happened. I thought it was dead. John, I started the website because I thought no one would remember Sunny Day Real Estate. Like I started the website thinking no one was going to like have any documentation of this because I thought it was dead. And yes, there were many things going on in the world, and I've connected with so many people around it, and I wasn't the only one doing this, but there's a lot of people that are responsible. But the revival era like renewed my love of the genre, renewed my faith in the kids of like, oh my God, they found it.
Yeah.
Because it was buried.
It was. But I think, like I said, like if you have kids like myself who are just like, I want to know more. I want to know more. I want to know more. They're going to find it. It's like, Sunny Day Real Estate had videos on fucking MTV. Like that shit was online
Right.
before YouTube. You know,
Right.
like I watched the Seven video on some like terrible streaming site before YouTube existed, because I was like, I heard I heard the name Sunny Day Real Estate. I heard they were important. I found their video. After like looking for like a couple weeks, you might find their CD somewhere.
So going back to you feeling like this has hurt you, or not hurt you, but there's like a way of like this has sort of stunted you. Did you feel like like if you were called an indie rock band, you'd be at the Ryman right now, you know, opening up for Bon Iver? Like, is that what you thought?
Oh, Bonnie. No.
There's also a great video of him playing basketball where he just bricks a shot. I don't know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I saw that last night. It was great. But yeah, so did you think it was like, I'm unable to be at my full potential because of what people are saying, or the press, or just the scene?
The scene. It's mainly the scene. I don't understand why people have gravitated so much to like snowing specifically. I don't understand. I don't understand. But what I understand as like a music fan, first and foremost, is like I listen to so much stuff like every day. You know, like today, I not like I listened to like 3 Neil Young records. I listened to a John Fahey record, and I listened to the Get Up Kids. Like I ran the gamut, you know,
Mhm.
of just like white dudes rocking. Terrible. But you know, and like so, but my tastes are varied, and they sort of they ebb and they flow. So as just like a guy who's just trying to make music that like excites me, I feel like I'm so often getting like sort of, and I know this is sort of a thing that happens with folks in similar circumstances, where they're just like, yeah, but we want the emo guy. Give us that emo guy more, that please. It's like, yeah, but I'm not over there now. I'm not 23 anymore. I'm not, like I'm not suffering from, basically like dehydration. Like
Mhm.
I'm I'm 38, and I'm just trying to write songs that I'm like excited about, and that like make me sit back and go like, wow, like I'm so proud of myself for having accomplished this thing that didn't exist moments ago. And so I just, a lot of times, like I put that stuff into the world, and I've gotten back like, oh yeah, okay, thanks, wish it was snowing, bye. And it's like, okay, great, okay, well, I tried.
Wow.
And it's just such a hard thing to grok, like, where it's like I want to spend most of my day, if it were up to me, Tom, I'd spend most of my day making music, and I'd spend most of my like year out on the road playing shows. But nothing I've done has like given me sort of the uh like nothing I've done outside of the emo realm has given me like any ability to do that. And the emo realm is just it's so like, I was talking to someone recently about like 2D and 3D people. It's like I'm a fully developed person. I'm not just this like caricature of a sad man. And sometimes I feel like that's the way that I'm perceived by like people who like, they hear snowing and they like it, and they're like, they're into how like vulnerable it is and how like raw it is, and they like want that from me all the time. And it's like, that's one element of my life. Like, I also have to pay taxes. I also like, laughing at fart jokes. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not always going to be just like this, like screaming puddle in the corner. Like, that's not how life works. I will say, like, I do have people who have followed me through all my various ebbs and flows. And it's like, I always find that interesting, because it seems so like
Mhm.
insular, where so often I felt just like fans of the revival specifically were just, they were interested in the revival. They wanted these emo bands, and they didn't want anything else really. And maybe I'm wrong, but it's just like, as a person who is like very deeply in it, it's like that's how it felt, where it was like they're not growing with you. And if you're sort of like trying to do something experimental or different, they're not here for it. And I think it's kind of why, like, I don't know, I always felt like you'd see bands that were like, you'd hear a band and then you'd hear a band inspired by that band, and then you'd hear a band inspired by that band. And it's like a copy of a copy of a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, it's like when I was like trying to keep an ear into the revival stuff when it was happening, it was like, I just felt like I was hearing like, there was like there was us, there was Algernon, and then you hear like a different band, and then you hear a band inspired by that band. And it's just like, it would just sound like the most watered down, like, and it sounds so shitty to say that, because it's like, who the fuck am I to talk about someone's art like this? Like, I'm nobody. But it just, it feels like people were like, oh, I like this product. I like this product that we can call the emo revival.
Right. And also using the term Midwest emo. I always found that fascinating.
Man, I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't know I don't know the Midwest from,
Right. Like there's a whole, I forget who's doing it, but there's this whole thing. Someone's doing like a book on it, and they interviewed me, and I don't think I'm in it because I was like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand why it, like, just because Captain Jazz and a couple others like did that, like, why is it there? Like, that sound was happening in many places.
Right.
Like, call it math rock. Call it
math rock. Call it anything. Just Midwest emo is so, it's like, was that the only place it was happening?
No.
Is the Midwest only Chicago?
Right.
And the Chicagoland area? Like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's why I like, when it was funny, I popped up the Wikipedia. I'm like, because I was having a conversation about that phrase with someone, and I was like, why the fuck does it say that? Like, it should just say emo. Like, it should say like mathy, like all that stuff. So it's,
yeah. So for example, we're talking because I have a record coming out, I assume. So when I started writing these songs, when I wrote these songs, the record's been done for a year. So last summer, I got offered to do, like really early in the year, I got offered to play this festival in Detroit, and I was like as a solo artist, and I was like, wow, that's okay, sure, this will be great.
wow.
And just because I had I'd posted on my Instagram that I had been writing new songs and I was making a record that I was really proud of, and like shortly thereafter, I got reached out by somebody who was just like, would you like to come play this thing? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But I remember very specifically, like, I played in Pittsburgh on my way to Detroit, and I remember getting like hit up beforehand from one of the kids from the other bands being like, hey, me and my band are really excited to play with you. We love snowing. And I was like, that's awesome. Here's the record I just made. And at the show, they were like, yeah, I listened to that record. It's good. It's good. Or like something like that. And I was like, oh, you didn't like, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I was like, you didn't like it.
Right.
And I remember like when we played, or when I played, which was to, close the show, it was not to a ton of people. And like a lot of like, there was, I'm playing acoustic guitar, I'm playing these sad songs, and there's just like, I could just hear people like having full conversations. And it's just like, it's like, you wanted me to be the snowing guy. You wanted to come see me play a snowing song. You wanted me to come, you wanted to come sing along to snowing songs or whatever. And I'm not doing that. And you're showing me that you're not here for this.
Right.
And it's like, and it's that happened a lot on that trip, actually.
Wow.
And even with the festival in Detroit, when I first got contacted with would you like to play? I was very flattered. I said yes. And then I got the flyer for the thing. They were like, here's the flyer for your set. Everyone's posting them at 12 noon on Wednesday. And I'm like, okay, great. And I look at it and it says John Galm, and then in parentheses, snowing solo set.
Oh shit.
And I'm just like, what? Like, no, that's not what's happening here. That's not what was ever going to happen. Like, what do you mean?
Wow.
And so I just feel like there's this people have shown up to things I've done, and I've clearly just by manner of me doing what I'm doing, which isn't what they want, they leave disappointed. And that hurts me so deeply in weird, terrible ways, It's I don't want to be disappointing anyone, especially with something that I'm looking at as this is some of these are some of the best songs I've ever written. This music means the world to me. Can't you just sit down with me and experience it and decide for yourself? But I just, I feel specifically some folks that were fans of the revival, it's no, they just want the revival. They just want emo bands. They don't want anything else.
I've never thought about it like that, because it's so interesting, because I thought that for the third wave, and I think the second wave happened. What is the third wave?
What are the waves? Who are the
Oh, geez. Here we go again. No, first wave, Rites of Spring, bullshit, that stuff.
Yeah.
Second wave is what we're talking about, late 90s, Promise Ring-ish, the bands all doing things at the same time, American football.
The shit that I loved. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found out, and then someone told me about Rites of Spring, and I went back.
Okay, yeah.
But then the third wave is the pop punk era of mass consumption, and then there was the lull. I was at Equal Vision. It was late at night in 2007, I think October, and I started a website. Literally bought the domain that night and started writing angry posts about Pete Wentz. That was how the website started. But then again, that revival. Someone telling me in 2008. About that. So that's the revival. So that would be the fourth.
Okay. That's the fourth. And I hear we're on the fifth now.
We're on the fifth. The fifth is weird. It's so interesting.
It's so not for me. That's it. It's just so not for me. I've come to this conclusion.
But isn't it amazing that there is one though?
I think it's amazing. Stop. I honestly think it's amazing how profitable it is.
Oh, I wish it was.
I mean, no, I'm just I'm looking at these. At least in terms of I'm looking at these bands. I'm seeing their tour schedules. I'm seeing their plays on Spotify.
Oh yeah, and it's out of control.
And I'm just this is wild. And then I listen to them, and it's just oh, this is just a mall pop punk band from that I would have listened to when I was 14, that I would have read about in alternative press. The only difference is they have noodling over top of the noodly guitars over top of power chords.
Right.
That's it.
That's
and
it.
It's just oh,
deep V-necks.
Deep V-necks.
Yep.
But it's just
it is very interesting, but that affects I would tell people at work, and their instant response is to laugh. And then I have to explain, because what do they see? So when you're talking about, I'm going to try to play this show, people want X. It's so interesting. And maybe this is every genre, and everyone listening is, have already turned it off, and it's just you and I talking. But I still think it's important because of how you felt of I am not just that. And I think as an artist, everyone that does that, and I don't think, I just don't know if there's another genre that gets raked through the mud because of this. And
Yeah.
it could be because this is such an important part of that person's time that they attach themselves to it. And I get shit for
Sure.
that. I get shit for late 90s. Like, I just think it was the perfect time before the internet. Like, it was still letters. Like, it was so organic. That was really fun. Like, flyering, like that thing. But that's me. So if that's that person and then they don't want to go on that ride with you, that's always been the inspiration for me to keep telling these stories, that hopefully someone finds it, like puts the token in the bus and then they get on the bus. But I don't think the timing, I just don't think it's going to work out. And I think you looking at those numbers is not healthy, because it's like,
Oh, no,
the
of course
amount
it's
of
not.
the amount of radio marketing, like millions of dollars pumped into those songs, is why they're cheering for Sweetness at Coachella or the middle.
Sure.
Right. And so I just think, like, you can't compete with that. But it is interesting for something coming from a DIY mentality that you wouldn't be like, oh man, John's doing this. Like, I'm going to go check that out. And you're like, you're on the ride versus I only want this one stop.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I remember.
Do you still feel that way?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, but I can think of in my head canon of like several artists who I have followed for the ride. So like, I don't understand why that wouldn't be something other people would want to do. It's just not my reality. But
Yeah.
again, like, I'm also the guy who's like diving into stuff and like
Yeah.
wants to know more, wants to find out more. Like, I hear a record, I want to hear all the records. You know, I want to see the progression of the band. I did this recently with fucking Pink Floyd, just because I was bored. Like, it's not like just like
Yeah.
I'll literally do this with anything, just because I find music and progressions in music interest me. Like, I think bands are interesting. I think artists are interesting, and I want to see what they did when, and like piece together why.
Yeah.
You know. And the idea that like people are just like, no, I got what I needed in 2008, and that's what I needed, and I don't need anything else except more of that.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But also, it's like, that who the fuck am I to tell someone that they're wrong?
Yeah.
I know, like,
right. I'm just happy you're still making music. I'm happy
thanks, me
I'm
too.
happy that I know, because I think regardless of anyone listening, if just yourself, as I said earlier, that you did it, you put it out, you want to keep making music, and that changes how you feel, that changes your day to day. Like you said, I have something to look forward to. I want to do this. There's other reasons.
There's nothing that I like. There is no time in my life like the time when I'm actively making a record. Like, it becomes this like all-encompassing mind journey,
Mm-hmm.
and like like mind, body, and spirit, as I'm like navigating these songs, and these like the last couple of things I've made, I've recorded mostly myself up until like parts further toward the end where, you know, I need like help with like mixing and stuff. But like, I'm doing a lot of work by myself. So I'm on just like, it's like a fucking vision quest, trying to get to the end of this road. And I'm learning things about myself, and I'm learning things about these processes, and I'm still learning things about writing songs and playing guitar after 20 plus years. And it's just like, there's nothing that I find more fulfilling. It's why it keeps happening, even at the end, when it's like this, like when it's done and it's mixed, and it's like, usually when it's in the mastering process, I'm like, I start to feel the dread of like, oh great, now I have to try and stop this somehow and get people to care. This is the worst.
Yeah.
This is the absolute worst.
Yep.
I just have this limitless sort of like this can be anything. I can do anything. There are no rules. I'm just following this path. To suddenly it's like, oh, there are rules. It's you want this to sell so that people come see you and maybe you can like make more art that people will want to consume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and maybe you can stop, maybe I don't think I'm ever going to not have a day job, but like the idea of like maybe I can become like a more effective touring entity. Like that would be awesome. That involves sort of like a level of promotion and commerce that like I'm also just like willfully unequipped to do.
I have a lot of trouble with that. I've had a lot of people talk to me about Washed Up Emo and like, oh, why don't you do this and put on a festival and do all this? And I always wanted the other job because I didn't want to ruin the feeling of doing this.
I get that for sure.
But in your example of like even just having a little bit like 60-40, right? Instead of the 70-30 or 80-20, it's like 80% job, 20% you. To be able to have that balance would be helpful. It just, it's so interesting.
Can I also just say, like, I'm kind of a weird. I feel like I'm sort of an anomaly in this, where it's like in 2011, Snowing did a big U.S. tour, and we got home, and in my head I was like, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to tour Europe in the winter. After we tour Europe, we're going to be at a point where we are going to be able to leave our jobs. This is going to become our full-time jobs. We're going to tour 6 months of the year. We already basically released our own records because our record label is my friend Chris. And Keith. So we're going to basically like continue that path where it's like we're our own record label. We're going to book ourselves. Like I basically was like, we're going to be Fugazi. We're just going to be Fugazi. And in my head, I was like, this is the perfect plan. and that to me was like, this is success. Like we will be like, just like a functioning
sustainable
machine of a band. Yeah. I didn't want to be like, I don't know. In my head, I was just like, yeah, that's success. That's what I want. I want this like this full control of like the enterprise, and also like working toward it all the time. Like putting all of our energies into this one sustainable unit where we're like an unfuckwithable force that has like basically no outside control. Completely insane. But that's what I wanted. That's what I was like, this is the path. This is the way, that's what I saw as like true success. And that's why I think like, as I've gotten older, I got like, like my respect for like a Fugazi deepened. And then also like, I got really into the Grateful Dead because they were just that sort of unpenetrable unit of just self, like everything's just sort of happening and they're sort of in control of it all.
Yes, absolutely.
And I found that so interesting. Like
it takes so much trust. It takes so much trust and time. And that length of career and being able to, and like you said, they had many mistakes along the way, but being able to kind of continue on and build on what happened, be able to reassess.
Yes.
It takes, that's a lot.
Yeah. But also at the same time, like I wasn't really putting into perspective, like anything real, like the amount of commitment you need from like every single individual is unrealistic. Like you're basically asking like everyone that's involved to sacrifice everything for the one thing. And it's just like, no, like I understand, like later, everything also was very DIY back then. And I think within like a year of us breaking up, a lot of my friends had booking agents and a lot of my friends had managers and real record labels, not just like our friends, but like record labels with like some money who could like do things for them. And it was like, oh, turns out you're like more successful than ever before. Here I
Wow.
thought we were reaching the pinnacle, just being like weird DIY assholes. And actually there's like, when you do like the industry stuff, you get like a little further along.
You
Interesting.
do.
That's
No,
really,
it's so interesting to watch that because I watched it with the Third Wave. It was like, oh wow, they're now there and they talked to that person and holy shit, they're opening for that band. Oh,
yep.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to dive into the record? I feel like we pretty much punched everything with that. Why did you pick River of Blood as the name?
I had already been working on it for several weeks at that point. I had kind of come up with this idea. I had been playing in a band with some new friends in Philly. I was living in Philadelphia for a decade. The past decade, I just recently moved back to my hometown of the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, which is about an hour and a half north of Philly. Just some geography for you.
Yes.
It's where everyone in Snowing is from. But yeah, I've been playing with some folks, and through just like kind of shitty circumstances, some of them were moving, and it was pretty like a pretty quick sort of departure. So it was just like, well, I don't have a band anymore, and just like before they left, they were like, hey, would you play? We're doing like a going away show. Would you play it solo? And I was like, I don't do that anymore. For years, I had like a bit of a thing where I tried to do like a solo career, but mostly had bad experiences with it. And I don't know, I was just feeling very self-conscious about it. Like anytime I would try to play solo, it just wouldn't work. Fast forward, I play this show and it goes really well and I'm really happy with it. And I, there were maybe like 30 people there and everyone was like absorbed in what I was doing in like a really powerful way. And I just felt this like really intense connection with like playing songs for people in that sense. So I set out after they moved and I was bandless. I was like, I'm going to write 8 songs, like 8 songs that I can sit in front of people and play. And that was my whole goal. It was just like, it was almost like, and I've never really set myself like parameters like that, but I just really was like, I need like a goal, 8 songs is good. It's not 10. It's not 4. And yeah, so that's what I started doing it, just like over probably like a 6 to like 10-month period, just really like working on these songs. I worked a lot from home at the time. So I had just like a ton of time to just sort of like pace around my apartment with my guitar and just like come up with a melody, sing it to death, figure out some lyrics, trash everything, try it again the next day,
Mm-hmm.
And every day where it was like, I've got this song that I'm almost through like figuring out the guitar parts for. And then I had like these 2 ideas in the back of my head. I need to finish this one before I can move on to this one.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, okay. And I would like work on it. And then I would be like, great, it's done. Now I can move on to this. Like it became very like segmented in neat ways. Anyway, a lot of this is to say, one day I was playing guitar. I had like come up with an idea and I started sort of humming. I was just like humming along, kind of like making up lyrics on the spot to a melody that I was singing. And I just sang the words River of Blood. And I was like, it just like hit me like a fucking brick. Like there was no plan. There was no like, I didn't know what it meant. I just was like, whoa. And pretty much from that moment on, I was like, I don't know what River of Blood is necessarily, but it's important, and it's like providing like a guiding light to like this whole thing. Um, at that point, I had already been sort of writing a lot about, just like, my childhood and like growing up. I grew up near the Lehigh River. It was like a very important sort of like geographical like North Star for my life as a kid. Um, and so I already had that sort of like, was like writing about that and thinking about that a lot and thinking about this like almost like, when you try and picture things that like from your childhood and they're just, everything's got like that dream logic to it where it's like everything's just a little distorted from how it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like the colors seem a little more vivid and and everything's just a bit like foggier and dreamier than it actually was. I was just constantly thinking about my childhood and these sort of like big, vague, dreamlike thoughts, these like bubbles where it'd be just like I could see the river and I could even like I like in my mind's eye I could see like laying awake in my bed in the house I grew up in, like hearing the trains that like the train lines ran by the river
Mm-hmm.
and just hearing the trains go by at night and like seeing like sort of like like my windows are like the shades are open and I can see the street lights sort of like reflecting into my bedroom. You know, just these like just these images that were just sort of like coursing through my head as I was working on these songs. And the inverse reality is that like I was living a very insular life. Like I was like my social life in Philadelphia had pretty much crumbled. My anxiety was like had reached a sort of point where it was like I wasn't leaving my apartment often. I think working from home was a blessing and a curse. The curse part was like I definitely, if I didn't have to leave my house, I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
like um and like I wasn't going to shows. I wasn't seeing bands. I wasn't talking to people. The only place I was really like able to get up the gumption to go to was the bar. And then in December of 23, I quit drinking. So uh, then I was not even going to the bar. There was like then I was really just sort of like stuck. So I had these like I was almost like had this like idealized like visions of my past while living this like life of just like complete seclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't know exactly like what, like I don't have a thesis statement for River of Blood, like I can't sit here and tell you what it's about, but I know that those two ideas are what were sort of like coursing through my brain as I was making this record, where it's like I know what home was and I could feel it and I could think about it in this like almost like serene state. That wasn't perfect, but like in my head it is. And then I'm also living in this reality where it's like what I am feeling right now is the opposite of that, because I am feeling just like desperate and alone and uncomfortable and almost like afraid of my own shadow.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting you describe it like that. And I feel hearing you, it's like like you said, everybody's like, oh, home's great. It's got this hue to it. And then you're there and you're like, oh, wait, I'm here for the third day and these other feelings are coming back. And then
Right.
handling that, like what is happy. Like you said, like you left a lot. You went home, you left a city, you left friends, your friends left, of a band, which is a group of people that you can create with. It seems like you were super, super alone.
Yes. I was really isolated for the last couple of years. I was in a relationship too. But the person I was dating lived in Japan.
Wow.
So yeah, so like our main form of connection was just through phone. Um, I would see her multiple times a year, but like there were long stretches where I would not see her. So it's just like I was just living this very secluded existence, and I had also, like I have trouble with this idea where if a lot of people are like, this thing is for me, and I look at it, I'm like, for example, a lot of people are like, I like chocolate ice cream. And I'm over here like, I actually like vanilla ice cream. What's wrong with me that I don't like chocolate ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that like in my head, it's not that I can like vanilla ice cream and they can like chocolate ice cream. It's like if they like chocolate ice cream and I don't, something's wrong with me. And that's how I felt about living in Philadelphia, where it was like everyone around me is like, Philadelphia is the greatest city on God's earth. And I'm like, I cannot stand being here.
Mm.
And what and that is a me problem. And it's my fault. And I need to get over that because this is where all my friends live. This is where all my friends left where we grew up and moved to and have never left
Mm-hmm.
or like have left begrudgingly. No one left Philly because they didn't like Philly. And if they did, it was like it seemed like almost like an oversight.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would just really like ride or die for that place. But for me personally, I found it very isolating, and it sort of where I learned a lot about myself in my decade living there. I feel like I could very much dive into the worst aspects of myself, where it's like I've always had a drinking problem. I first time I realized that was when I was 24, and I was like, oh my God, I think I might actually be an alcoholic. Um, and but it didn't really spiral into something where I was like concerned. Well, first, not concerned for my health, and then like later being like, oh my God, shouldn't I be concerned for my health with
Mm-hmm.
all this like horrible things I'm doing to myself? Like that didn't happen until I was in Philly. Like I didn't. I just like the severe isolation, like that happened in Philly. Like it's just this place that was able to sort of bring out the worst aspects of my personality. I felt like.
Wow.
Um,
I felt that New York was a lonely place when I lived there, even though there's 10 million people around me.
yeah,
Like I didn't want to leave, do stuff. It's similar where it was like I'm like there's 10 million people around me right now, but it's like the most alone. It's the loneliest place on earth.
yeah. I constantly would look at like, the internet and stuff and be like, there's 10 shows that I could go to right now.
Wow.
And I might have, and sometimes it was like, I have tickets to a show right now
And you wouldn't
and
go.
I wouldn't go. I was just too, because I was just so in my own head and so anxious. And it became so easy to just not. Everything about it became so easy to just like, oh, I can just hide my hole here. Like, I can just go to the liquor store and get a bottle of whiskey and just drink in my room. Like,
Right.
I don't have to do anything.
Right.
I can just go to the bar for the billionth time. I know who's going to be there, so that's safe. I know that they have pinball, so that's safe. Like, I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get drunk, so in a weird way, that's safe. Um, you know, it really, yeah, it really just brought out these like elements of me that I think by the time it was like, especially after the sort of the band I was doing, it was called Mount Worry. By the time that sort of like dissipated because of the folks moving, it was like that was the only thing getting me out of the apartment. So
Wow.
when that was gone, it was like, shit, now what do I do? You know? And the answer was basically like nothing. And then that's also at that point I had stopped drinking. So it was like it was,
Double nothing.
as much as that was like the right thing to do. And I'm so grateful that I finally am at a place with it where it's like, I haven't drank in over 2 years. I wouldn't at the moment of recording. I would not have that any other way.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like the first year specifically, it was fucking hard. Because suddenly it was like this thing that was like my best friend and confidant and support system was just gone. And it was the only thing sort of keeping me even like remotely social. And
What was your inner voice saying then? So you knew you stopped. Your friend wasn't talking back to you. Like, what was your inner voice saying?
It's weird because it wasn't like this isn't. I had periods in my life where there was actually like about a year and a half before I finally like reached a point where I could like stop and stay stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I quit drinking for about 3 months, and by the end of it, I had realized like, oh, my life is profoundly empty without this element in it, and it was so scary to like sort of face that
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, I'm just gonna start drinking again. Like I'm just gonna ignore all my impulses and just start doing this like thing that I know is like killing me again. Um, and I knew I could. So when I finally like reached a point where I was like, okay, I'm not going to drink anymore. I knew that like I knew that that was correct. You know, like I knew that I was making the right choice. So it wasn't so much like, God, I wish I was drinking right now. I mean, there were moments like that, but it wasn't so much like that as it was just like what a profoundly sad life I built that I now just have to exist in.
Who else did you have
And
around you?
no one. My cat who died, R.I.P. Kitty. She was the best. I had my girlfriend at the time who lived in Tokyo, who was not, it's hard to keep a relationship going like that for as long as we did. And by the end of it, like it was hard for me to, she was tired of me. She was tired of me. I realize that now. Like she was tired. Like I was a sad, lonely man living a terrified, lonely existence. And she didn't know how to handle that
Right.
or probably didn't want to. And it's like, yeah, I get that. And that was kind of it. I had like really close friends on the phone. Like I have a few really close friends that I would like stay in touch with. Like we'd like talk on the phone and stuff. And then, I found myself coming back home to Lehigh Valley more and more. Which I do think a part of writing River of Blood was sort of like coming to terms with this idea where it's like this place where I'm in currently is my home,
Right.
and and I feel more comfortable here, and I have people here. Like my whole family is here. I have very close friends that live here. Like I have just in general, it's just a place I feel very comfortable. And I feel like for years, it's like that thing I talked about earlier where it's like, it's not cool. And I wish it was cooler because like I want to be cooler than I am, I want to be like the hip guy who can really hack it in the city, but I'm not. So I'm actually much more comfortable in the place I grew up,
Right. I think about that a lot with people in a city. What's the term? Shit, there's some like phrase that people call it. But it's like here or nowhere, or like, and I sometimes was like stuck in that because I felt like, wow, I've succeeded. I've been in this city. I've been able to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm just making it. But then also I'd be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like it was frustrating. And then that feeling of like, you're not supposed to leave. If you leave, that's like a weakness. And then when
It's
you
failure.
leave,
Yeah.
and then you go somewhere else and you're like fine, and everything's like, you're not missing out, like the FOMO, like you said, the 10 shows, all the things going on, it's okay. And that was a chapter, not your life. That was a chapter, and you did it, and you learned X, Y, and Z from it, and now this is your another chapter. And that's better than, well, I'm in this apartment that I've had since 1982. Maybe that's great for that person, and that's okay, but it feels like they like pressure you to do that.
I don't think, yeah. I mean,
You can
I don't think
disagree.
anyone.
Maybe
No,
pressure's
no,
not
no.
the word, or maybe like you feel the pressure, not Paramore.
Feel. I 100% feel the pressure. I don't think anyone was necessarily. I don't think anyone was necessarily pressuring me. I think it's that. I think it's that element of my brain where it's like, they all feel this way. Why don't I feel that way? Like, it's not. This is right for me, and I can live in that truth. It's I'm wrong because I'm not XYZ. You know.
Yeah.
I don't like.
So your negative self-talk is through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Very much so. You know, like I think it's like, if I sort of perceive this thing where it's like, if I don't like or if I like something, it must be like lame, you know? Like, and yeah, like,
how is it now? Are you still working on it?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a process, you know. But I'm also, I've been in therapy for the last 2 years, like solid, like no breaks. And that's been really helpful in sort of like navigating what my brain does and trying to make sense of that, and it's been really helpful to like sort of like say to like, have a person who at this point knows what like my tendencies are, and is like able to be like, hey, this is what you do every time. Like, this is the way your brain is telling you this is happening. This is your brain being mean. This isn't reality,
Yes.
Um,
I'm so happy that you're doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really helpful, and it's been like, I feel like in the last year I've been able to really, actually, the first year of being sober was very, very difficult. And while it remains like a challenge still, it's like, I feel like I'm actually growing now. And I feel like I'm like morphing and changing into a better version, or at least, yeah, no, like a better version of me through all this. And I think the thing that like I'm also learning is that like, it's never going to be perfect, I think
I struggle with that. I always wanted,
yeah,
like, if I made a mistake, that was the worst thing in the world. And it was black and white. There was no gray.
Yes. Missteps for me were paralyzing. Like, I couldn't, like, if like I wanted everything to be perfect. And like, if I made like a mistake and I perceived it as like, oh shit, now I fucked XYZ up or whatever. It's like, I couldn't just be like, well, that was a mistake and you learned from it and now you can move on. It's like, no, it was like, that was the end. And that one sort of like faux pas or whatever is like, so also that also would lead into like, I would like, there was in 2014, I for 6 months I lived in Portland, Oregon, because I went there on tour and I loved it, and I felt like a weird kinship with the city. Probably because it's just like a big town.
Oh, totally.
And I was
It's
like,
yeah, I've been there. It is a big town.
And I was just like, a city can be a big town? Wow. And but I moved there, and like, my entire life didn't improve overnight. So within 6 months I left, because I was like, this didn't fix me. And I did that, I lived in Philly two times before I was there for a decade. I lived there for like 4 months at a clip. And I'd be like, this isn't working. Not everything is fixed. I need to get out.
Wow.
Like that was like a big element of my post snowing 20s were just me just like being like trying something, it not solving everything immediately, and then me running away from that thing
And not working on yourself.
and not working on myself.
Right.
But also thinking that like the external things would fix me.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
Like
the problems follow.
like yeah, just having the idea that like this, like if I just lived in New York City, all my problems would be solved. If I lived in Philadelphia, all my problems would be solved. If I lived in Portland, Oregon, all my
Right.
problems will be solved.
Right.
Like I'm gonna get here, I'm gonna meet the people who are gonna like change my life. I'm gonna like finally become like the cool guy I wish I could be. Um that's one thing about that I'll always like credit Philly with is like I finally got to like a point where it's like, okay, I know exactly who I am.
Mm-hmm.
like I know me, and I know what I'm like, and I know what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. And I at some point it's just like, okay, just you just have to deal with that, like you just have to, it's there's no changing it. You're just sort of it. Like I wish I was more, especially as I like work on like this like singer songwriter type music. I'm like, I wish I was more of like a like quiet, introspective, like almost like when you see like an interview with Elliott Smith and you're like, that dude is quiet.
Right.
Um, that's that's not me, you know. After like if I'm comfortable with you within like 5 minutes, I'm making like terrible jokes and
Right.
like yucking it up and like doing weird dances and like
Mm-hmm.
just like I'm a fucking goofball. Like
Right. But being okay with that and owning to it, and then if people are reacting to it, it doesn't
it's
matter.
not
Yeah.
it's not even so much being okay with it. It's just being like just like realizing like it just is,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Being okay with the idea that it just is. And like, yes, I could like pretend to be someone else, but at what fucking cost, you know?
Yeah.
Like I found it very trying to be someone that I'm not is so I know some people I'm sure can do it, like can like reinvent themselves and like live a whole new existence or whatever. If I'm not being like true to myself, it's like a horrible, like I feel like a physical reaction to it where I'm just like, it's the type of thing where it's like I try like a new personality on for a little bit, and I would just like break after a couple days and be
Mm.
like, and the way I used to solve any of those sort of problems is I go off and I get very, very, very drunk for several days.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of that, I'd be so hungover that I was just like, well, I'm just going to be myself again because I need to. I'm just going to live on this toilet for the rest of my life, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Right.
But
So this record feels like it was you coming to terms with a lot of things at once and finally looking at yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I don't think that happens if I don't stop drinking. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that happens if I'm not sort of faced with this thing where it's like, I think the band I was playing in, like them leaving and me sort of being in this almost like like this, like I was just secluded, after they were gone. And it was like, all I could really do was sort of look at myself and be like, well, this is what I've got to work with. Like, this is the palette is me.
Yeah.
Let's see what comes out of just this like examination. And I mean, I'm really proud of what came out. I'm really thrilled with like I'm really thrilled with what I was able to create. It's just, it is also really heavy, you know?
Yeah.
Um, it's funny too. Like you know, when I started talking about it with even just here describing it to you, I don't think I realize when I don't talk about it, just how heavy it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it is this sort of thing where I'm just like, no, this was like a really trying effort to like get to where I am currently in my life, and also to like navigate all this change and all these experiences. Like it's really difficult, and it took a lot. And it's continuing to take a lot because it's not done.
It's not done. What
So
do you feel like? I mean, seeing this record, having this out there, being okay with it, having the word snowing on it, right? Being okay with, having the, like the bio, have, these things describing you, talking about this openly. I think being open with what issues were, I only think that only just shows authenticity, and people can take it however they want, but why not be yourself at this point?
yeah, exactly. I I mean, like I said, if I don't if I'm not myself, I know it eventually blows up in my face, you know,
Yeah.
from like a personal standpoint. It's just I've got no one else but me, bud. You know,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, it's like I am exactly where I am. I am who I am. I've met both my parents, and I know I know why I am the way I am. And there's unfortunately no fixing that. You know,
No, I
like
mean, yeah, that's like, that is a whole
um,
year of therapy doing that with your
yeah,
parents and things like
no,
that. Yeah.
yeah, but like it's all those things where it's like I can see why I'm here. You know, so I can
Mm-hmm.
either ignore that and just be like, no, that's not real. That doesn't exist. I'm actually much more, I'm much cooler than no, like none of that's real. Like, it's why I actually, so last year when I did that tour out to Detroit for that festival, I, um, I made merchandise with, I made t-shirts with my graduation photo from high school on it,
Amazing.
in which, I was really at the time into Coheed and Cambria and At the Drive-In,
Dude, I
and
got you
and
pegged.
my
Yep.
hairstyle 100% reflected that. Also, my mom was like, "Take your guitar to the graduation photos. I want you to be like." She had it. She wanted me to like be immortalized in my current moment, in that moment, and I'm there, and I've got jelly bracelets and a guitar and a big haircut. I forget what shirt. I think I'm just wearing a black t-shirt, but like I look ridiculous. And I made the. I'm looking at it right now. Actually, here it is. I'll send you a picture when we're done. Oh
Youth.
wait, I can send it to you
You
now.
can send
We're
it
on
to me
the
now.
phone.
Is it? Was it a youth large? Right. Remember those sizes?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely too
It
small.
was too
Like
small. Yeah.
100%. I also, I always wished I was like. I've never felt comfortable in my body. I wish I was taller or thinner,
Mm.
like a Adam Lazara, if you. But instead, I'm like kind of just like I don't know, like average, like
Okay.
painfully average. So I would definitely wear like these like tiny little shirts and then just be like, I look ridiculous in a bad way.
Oh yeah, that was what what
Photos coming your
what
way.
what year?
This would have been 2005.
Solid. Skate and
Um,
surf.
Skate and so, oh my God, yeah. I wasn't allowed to go to any of those things, but
No? Oh man.
my my dad was very strict. Um, so even the one time he let me go to Philly to see the Thursday Thrice and Coheed tour, which came to the Electric Factory, we had to leave after Thrice because I wasn't allowed to stay out past a certain time.
Holy shit, this photo is fucking insane.
My point is, though, like, I made the merch with that on it, 'cause it's like I need to just accept.
Yeah,
I need to accept who I am. Like,
absolutely.
and that's a part of who I am.
I think as you age, I think it's like you said, trying to be cool, trying to keep up, and then at some point you kind of stop and go, no, dude, I was super into Coheed, man, and everything's fine and Shabooty. And right, and they're someone you're gonna meet, and you're gonna meet someone, and they're gonna be fine with it, and it's just, I think it's that point that you're not looking for acceptance, like you have it already in yourself or with your group, and take it or leave it. Like there is no time. Like I do not have time. You know, like I have certain requirements. Like you have to know who Ian Mackay is. That's
Right.
That's like front and center. And then after that, we can keep talking. Like it's just it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's also just like, it's like, I can certainly try and deny that I was this kid and like pretend that I'm like someone I'm not, but like it's just not real.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather just be real,
because it's who shaped you, and so you're going to be inauthentic throughout. It's like that's just part of you. There were no mistakes. Every turn, every left, right, up, down, it led to here. And I just think your power or your sense of self to look for help, to look at yourself, to notice it, because people don't notice it. And so for you to notice it, and then the most beautiful part, which is why we're talking, is that you created something from that was therapeutic just as much as talking to your therapist.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so interesting too, when you're in it, you don't see it.
Nope.
So like I didn't think I was putting pieces of this together, while I was working on this record. I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as like, oh, here's more song. Here's another song. Like, it wasn't until like afterward when you like look at the full, it's almost like putting a puzzle together without knowing what you're putting together. And then it's like, oh, it's a fish. It's like, no, at the end of it, it's like, oh, I turns out I'm making these connections that I didn't even know I was making.
I mean, it's your subconscious. It's that's partly it. It's these are things that are coming out, and you felt comfortable, you felt safe, you were being able to say those things in a way that was unfiltered. You were listening to yourself. Those are huge. Those are things that make it authentic. Those are things that, again, as I said earlier, I don't care if one person listens to it or 3 trillion. You got it out there.
Yeah, and I will say this record specifically is like, when at moments of like, doubt that I've had, because those always come up. Like, the one I've always sort of come back to this thing where it's like, well, I can feel doubt about what I'm doing or what I've done here, but like at the end of it, like this is so authentically me that I'm like, okay, like it's like I'm not trying to be anything that I'm not. This is exactly where I'm at. Like, and that I took as like a really big positive from the whole experience, where it's like, I'm not trying to be someone that people want me to be. I'm not trying to be someone that's like hipper than I actually am. I'm not pretending to be more artsy or like less artsy. I'm just, you're getting just like a 3D model of me.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Sonically.
That's beautiful.
And it was like, so it's like, yeah, I can be upset about certain things, but at the end of the day, it's like, this is, it's like some of the songs are incredibly sad. The opening track has essentially like a 4-minute ambient part at the end. both of these things resonate with me deeply.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's got soft synths and it's got fucking other stuff. There's like two noodly guitar parts. You know, like it's got everything that's inside of my brain. You know,
Right.
um,
That's really great to hear.
yeah, it's man, too much of this shit is just like I don't know. Life is so fucking hard.
It is, but I'll say again, you're working on it. You're
Yeah.
you're looking at things. You're able to process them and handle them in ways to be able to keep going, and
Yeah.
and then the power to create.
Yes, for sure. I think, I mean, the creation part is like the, I don't, there's really nothing I like more in this world, you know,
Mm-hmm.
than like, besides like a really good peanut butter and jelly is like just, um, just like that act of like working on something musical and like, just like, I don't know, my brain just gets in this like pattern of work when I'm doing it where it's just so, it just feels so good, you know? It's so
Yeah, and
therapeutic.
it's therapeutic, and it's like there's this your brain is working differently in those moments, and
Yes.
it's healthy, and there's all these studies around that, of, I mean, with people older, like being able to keep their mind moving and doing certain things, and movement. Like, your body is born to move. Your body is meant to move. Your brain is meant to, be able to do this. And it's no slight to people that consume. I would rather create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I've always it's funny. It's not funny. It's not funny, haha. I've always had trouble keeping, like, I have a lot of friends that collect records. I've always had a lot of trouble with record collections. Um not because not because I don't love music. I do love music. I just, in my head, like, if I'm going to spend a lot of money on something, it's going to be like something that's going to help me produce more music than it is like I'm gonna go blow $300 on a bunch of records.
Right.
Like, or like I'm gonna go buy. Like, I have friends who like collect stuff, so they're like, oh, I spent like $200 on this like rare pressing of XYZ, and it's like that doesn't mean anything to me
No, I'm
because
so
I,
funny. Unless there's only two bands that I would do that for, and then everything else is I play it. If I bought it, I play it.
yeah,
I didn't buy it to
that's
fucking sit on a shelf.
yes, and that's what I'm thinking about finally getting now that I'm like settling back into, you know, like feeling pretty okay with where I'm at currently. I'm thinking about getting a record player again. And
Hmm.
if I do, I have like very like, because I think in the past, that's been one of those areas where I've had trouble where I'm like, oh, well, all these other people are like really enjoying this thing where they're like buying these really expensive records. I have to buy these really expensive records. And then it's like, I'm not listening to this fucking, I'm
No.
not listening to any of this stuff. Like, that doesn't, that doesn't resonate with me in any way. My favorite thing, I was actually just thinking about this. Like, I really miss CDs because I would just fucking
I still
like a big,
have I still have about 1,000. At my
yeah.
at my
I,
peak, I had about 6,000, and ended up paring it down to just the hits. But yeah,
yeah,
I shipped them to LA. They were in my mom's attic, and I shipped them out here, and it's like hits.
nice.
It's hits.
Yeah.
And now there's word that that's coming back because of how it lasts
Spencer.
longer. And they're
Yeah.
they're super cheap now, and so
It's also this thing where it's like I would spend so much time listening to music in my car and just
totally.
driving around, and like it's how I fell in love with some of my like very favorite records. I was actually just thinking about, like I have so many good memories of like listening to Clarity for the first time in my car, and like and like all the things that we would have heard, like definitely like the first times I listened to like Death Cab or, you know, Saves the Day or Coheed and Cambria or any of those bands. It's like I listen to, or Mineral. Oh my God. Like I listen to while driving, you know?
Totally.
And it's why like the idea of like, you know, when it suddenly became like, oh, actually records are the way to listen to music and they're the cool thing. And it's just like, oh, you mean I just have to sort of like sit in a room and not really do anything else but like just like listen to this? Like that's cognitively not how my brain works.
Yeah. It's like totally, yeah. It's super hard. I have a server with like everything on it, so I can always listen to anything wherever I am, and it's like stuff that's not streaming, and so it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, that's on a record. I didn't rip it yet, or I didn't find it. You know,
Oh.
someone hadn't ripped it, so it's that type stuff too.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. So like I miss that element of like I used to have a lot of CDs because I would just fucking and I would like love to get CDs and I'd love to get like a new CD from a new band because I knew I would listen to it.
Totally, yeah. Like I talked about like the front to back, like the amount of times I know track 12, even that Silverchair record. I'm sure I forced myself to listen to it 12 times, 1,500 times because I bought it and I had to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's you used your money to buy it. You're going to find some value out of it.
Yeah, it's not much, but it was.
No, I'm sure, but you know what I mean.
Yes,
like,
I know.
like,
I'm just messing. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, they used the same riff.
but then there was but then there were moments too where it was like, you know, like when I finally found a copy because they were hard to find in when initially looking like for like something to write home about. You know, like they were not,
that was hard to find.
like it was not hard. It was not easy to find. So when I finally got a copy of it and I could like sit and listen to it front to back, it was like. And I think that's where like for me the disconnect of record collecting came in because people were like, what's important here is the artifact. It's not the music. It's like the pressing, the color, the like.
Oh, I fucking hate that. When someone tells me they have 17 versions of it, I do that for one band. And like I don't know how you do it for like 50.
Yeah.
Do you actually care?
And that's the thing. It's like what I cared about most when I like finally got like this CD that I was like, you know, like aching to get for so long, and I finally find it and I listen to it. I'm listening to the music. Like the music is the important thing. For
Totally.
Me. And you know, finally getting to hear like this, like that's like I know. I feel like someone recently told me within the last like decade now that like albums are out and they're going out, and like now it's like because of streaming, it's all about singles and things like that. It's like my brain doesn't think that way. I still think like of like an album as like a full piece, you know?
Yeah, or like why did Gibbard pick this song for second, not third?
Yeah, exactly. Like or like, oh, that's a weird choice for, you know, like to start the, you know, this sort of second half, you know?
Right. No, well, I'm super happy for the record. I'm so glad. And you know, hopefully people will check it out, and it seems like it's coming from such a beautiful place.
I mean, I hope they do too. I hope they do too. You know, I really don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
It would mean a lot to me if they did. How's that?
I love it. So BFF. You guys are doing
BFF?
You guys are doing best friends forever, baby.
Oh. I was like, we're best friends? Yeah, we're doing that for sure. I mean, I keep thinking like when it doesn't seem real, you know? But it is.
What that you're playing or the lineup?
Yeah. A little bit of both.
Okay.
Where it's just like, I'm just like, oh, like, dude, I keep thinking about bands, and I'm like, the other day, this week, I've been listening to the Appleseed Cast a lot, and then I was just like, wait, are they playing that fucking show? And then I looked, and I'm like, oh my god, they're playing that. Like, there's, you know, I think also coming from where I'm coming from, in like the Snowing never played outside of basements until recently, until the 4 shows we just played with Bear versus Shark, which may have been like the first 4 real venues we ever played.
How much fun are those guys?
They're the best, and we had so much goddamn fun. And like, I was like, Snowing played years and years ago at a shitty bar in Philly with Bars of Gold.
Yes. No one fucking cared about that. No one.
No, we did.
I know
so
you did,
excited.
but like at Equal Vision, the sales, no one cared.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm sure, but we were so stoked, and like when we actually like got to the gig, we were so intimidated by them because they were like a little older and like
a little gruffier.
Definitely a little gruffier. I mean, at that time we were like 23, so it's like, but having like, so like I kind of went into that with like remembering that show being like intimidated, and then just like meeting them immediately when we got to Boston, and them all just being like so like sweet and kind, and it's just like, oh, this is the best. And then learning pretty quickly that they're like also just like, they're like, we kind of in that same boat where they're like, we don't know why this hits, but we're just glad to be here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, dude, this rocks. All right. Like, I can see why Greg wanted to do us together. Like, this makes sense. Like, we're definitely like coming at it from the same vibe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad you're stoked for it.
Dude, so stoked. We had our friend Chris on tour with us. Chris was doing the merch stuff, and in New York, the venue had like a different. They like outsourced Bear versus Sharks merch selling to some local.
It's so fucking New York bullshit. Yeah,
it's so New York, and that guy was just like, Bear versus Shark had their long time homie doing their merch, and this New York dude was just like, you're selling your stuff for way too much. I haven't sold a t-shirt for $25 in like 10 years. Like, this is ridiculous. You need to sell your stuff for more. And he was just like, dude, we're not here to make money. Like, we're just like, that's not what this is about.
Right.
And it was just like, yeah, God, we're like, this rocks. Like, we're like with similar people here. This fucking rules. It just felt so, we just felt so at home with them.
Oh, that's great.
Like, at the end of the tour, we were just like, I mean, they kept saying, like, everyone I talked to from their trip was just like, can't wait to see you in October. I wish it wasn't so far away. Like,
oh, that's so rad.
Yeah, it was so good. But yeah, I keep looking at the fest, and I keep being like, I think I saw it the first time. It was just like, oh wow, that's a lot of bands. I didn't really let it sink in. And then it was like, I keep going back and being like, oh my God, Page of the Lions playing.
Right.
And like, like fucking David Bassant's music means so fucking much to me. It's just like, God damn it. And then like fucking Jimmy Eat World's playing. Like, I'm playing a show with Jimmy Eat World. That's insane.
And they're playing fucking old school shit.
Man, they could play whatever they want. I don't give a shit.
Right.
I would sit there so fucking thrilled. I have so much I love that band so much, and I like so much respect for them, and like I'm just like, I can't believe I'm gonna play a show with them.
Yeah,
because they're also on that echelon where it's like they're like up there, like they've had like big radio hits. Like they're a big band. And that's just so, it doesn't seem real, And I just every now and then, like, I'll look at the list and I'll be like, oh shit, Hey Mercedes is playing.
Yeah.
There's a possibility I'm gonna meet Bob Nana. That's weird. Like, that's kind of cool.
Nicest guy. Todd's the best. Damon, come on.
So I've met Todd, and he's a lovely dude.
Lovely.
And yeah, so one of my old drinking buddies is their longtime tour manager guy. So like
Bix.
I got to Bix, yeah. Famously sober, Bix. Shout out Chris. All of us drunk guys getting sober. It's good stuff. Oh,
That's awesome. No, I'm
what
really
a sad existence.
no, I'm super happy that you're excited about it and that you're able to, again, have these moments to be able to appreciate the work that you put in and how that's not over, either with the band, hanging out with Bear vs. Shark, or yourself making this record, putting those unconscious thoughts all together down. And I don't know. I want to tell you, like, I want you to realize like how important that was. And it wouldn't have happened if you didn't look at yourself in the mirror and say, let me figure this out.
I'm just sort of making hand motions, just like, but yes, thank you. And, yeah. Also, I'm looking at the list I'm looking at the Best Friends Forever Fest again flyer. And, Mineral.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was on there.
Fucking Super Chunks playing. What the fuck?
Right? Rilo Kiley.
Oh my God.
I push for Rilo Kiley.
Rilo Kiley's huge. Actually, it's my mom and my brother are both like, we might come out to that.
Wow.
Because my mom loves Jimmy Eat World and Rilo Kiley, and my brother loves Cursive.
Wow.
And
okay.
These people they're not like scene folk. These are bands that they love. And I would hope that they'd also come see my set, but
maybe not.
I'll
tell you what, it is the most chill. Like it wasn't like, it's just, everyone was hanging. Like Jay Robbins was next to me for a while watching Raina Maria and then walking around. Like everyone's walking around. It's not like the vibe was just, we're all hanging. Let's all catch up. We don't know how many more times we can do this. Like, let's just keep. And that was I think that people that didn't understand that were like, isn't there a festival next weekend for all those bands? And then they slowly realized, like, no, there's actually this other world that, these things intersected. And so anyway, I was really happy that Will put this on, and he was very nice to let me sort of, him was like, hey, here's who would be really great. And, I think it would make fun.
Yeah.
And so,
no, we actually, and the other, like, we got hit up the day after it was over. Like, I got a text from my friend who's a booking agent, who was just like,
Greg Horball?
Yes, that guy. Who was just like, expect an email like next week. And I was just like, what?
I'm going to see if my email to him, because I wrote, let's see here, we did the interview. Love the lineup. Oh no, what did I write? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, glad you dig. Bear vs. Shark is definitely something I was sleeping on. This definitely feels pretty in line. Oh, I think I have the whole list. Bear vs. Shark, kind of like Spitting. Christie Front Drive. I was like, it's not going to happen. Sleepy Time Trio, Engine Down, Frail, Prawn, Jealous Sound, Snowing. You were on my original list. I just looked at this. Well, there we go.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, I had Jealous Sound, Spoon, Weaker Thans.
Oh my God!
I know. I was like, if that was like, I was like, this one's not gonna, like, that one might be real nerdy for me.
Yeah, I mean, I love Guided by Voices. The only time I saw them, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have seen this.
I worked a Guided by Voices record at TVT.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked Isolation Drills, that record.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I met him at a bar, and he was shit-faced, and he said to me, what do you do at the label? And I was like, college radio, and I was like 21. And he said, I want this thing number one. That's what he said to me. And I got it number one on college radio for 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was super fun. And and then the Strokes opened a show of theirs at Bowery when I saw them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very, very early Strokes show. Open for Guided by Voices, but yeah, super fun. So yeah, maybe this list was helpful, or maybe Greg already threw the name in, but regardless, fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was I remember when the first year happened, I was like, oh wow, look at that. Like, and Algernon had been doing their reunion tour,
Yeah.
and so obviously like they were on it, and it was like, yeah, that makes sense and it's great. And look at all these other bands. Like this fest is like crazy for exactly the niche that I exist in.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, this is the niche.
Yeah. So then like, but like there was also that sort of element for me where I was like, oh, but clearly I'm not important enough to be there,
Oh,
So then to immediately get the fucking message that's just like, actually, wait a week. I was like, oh. Now I don't know. I genuinely don't know if he can do a year 3 without
we were talking
pulling out
about that.
without pulling out some like crazy shit, like starting to like
Title fight.
yeah, like finding bands in the fucking ether to like reunite. Yeah, but like a title fight, for example. Like yeah, but like I feel like Jawbreaker is one thing. Like Jess Brazil it's still more niche.
No, but hey, what did we just say? Niche.
I know, but like they're not like they couldn't headline the fest.
No. No.
But they could play it for
They
sure.
can play it. So you're thinking you're just thinking headliners.
Yeah, I'm thinking like who get like butts and seats, kind of big numbers. Who's moving the numbers here, Tom?
So what's your merch? What are you doing ahead? You doing like 25, 30, 30? Yeah, I hate that shit.
Yeah, I experienced a new thing in New York City at the tour, the Bear vs. Shark tour, which was at the end of the night, suddenly our green room was just full of people that weren't there all evening.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
I was like, I don't know who these people are. And then someone from their touring party walked past and was just like, yep, green room's full of industry folks. It's time to leave.
Yes.
And it was just like, this is real? Like this?
Oh, I probably could have guessed who was in that room based on living in New York so long. I could probably guess. But yes, yeah, that was it is difficult because it sucks. I was a label person, so I probably was part of it.
But it was just so odd to me that like
you didn't know anyone.
I'm literally not just that, like the two bands that played there were 3 bands that played that show, but like the 2 bands on tour were loading gear. Like we were leaving, So it's like the only people that were hanging out in the green room were just like not involved in the touring package at all. Yeah, I mean, I will say, you certainly have I feel like this conversation went to places strictly based on like the energy I was getting from you. I felt comfortable to share more,
Yeah.
So,
you know the first person to tell me that, and I appreciate that comment, Bazan.
Oh, no way.
Bazan blew my mind because we were talking. And he's like, I've never fucking said this before, and I was like, what? What do you mean you've never said this before? I didn't say that. In my head.
A man who has said everything.
Right.
No, I appreciate. So the fact that we were just able to like continuously go, I was like, okay, cool.
I'm just really happy that you found help.
Thank you. And honestly, I think that's really, I don't know. It's just what you're doing, I think, is really important. And it's the type of thing that generally needs to happen more. So I very much commend you on it. It's you're doing great stuff.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it.